Today's topic is making the move to multi-life. Our presenters are Brian Orr, National Sales Manager at Mutual of Omaha, and Noel Dovrais, Brokerage Health Marketing Manager, also at Mutual of Omaha. Please note that all lines will be muted during this webinar. If you would like to ask a question, please go to the question pane on your control panel and type it in. We will answer the questions at the end of the webinar. Also note that we are recording this. It will be sent to you along with the presentation as well as the audio in a follow-up email, and you should have that by tomorrow in about 24 hours. Okay, everyone, let's go ahead and get started, and I'm going to turn this over to Noel.
All right, thanks, Tracy. Thanks again for joining us today. From a marketing perspective, today we just want to kind of cover some new tools that Mutual of Omaha is offering to help you do some specific targeting when it comes to a marketing perspective. And then I will be turning the call over to Brian to kind of go through kind of where we fit and where we don't from a multi-life perspective. So the very first thing that you'll see here is a great resource, mutualofomaha.com/SmartSource. SmartSource is an innovative marketing consulting program that we rolled out January of this year, designed to really help you with your business and priorities that you really want to focus on. So you'll see that it's organized from a recruit, train, and retain perspective. Recruiting being, do you want to attract new producers to DI or re-engage your existing producers? Training, do you need to get more out of your current distribution in order to hit those sales goals that you're looking at and equip those producers to succeed? And the retain resources are really aligned to how do you keep your best performers engaged in selling within your organization, since you spend the time and money investing them and training them and developing them. So this is a great resource that I would definitely encourage you guys to visit and jot down. We have some testimonials out there of distribution partners that have actually used some of our turnkey programs online. So definitely take a look at those, and then if you have any specific questions on the options that we have from a recruiting perspective, let me know, or training and retaining as well. For recruiting, we definitely have some options for co-branding, some lead gen, our media kit, some social media, things that will be happening in 2016, and some very specific targeted campaigns. From a train perspective, we have a lot of things from advanced markets concepts, association marketing. Our DI product comes with that 15% discount for approved associations. We do have some face-to-face training opportunities, customized content. So if you're looking at information to send out in your newsletters that you're sending out to your distribution on a regular basis, we've got content to help provide there. The next slide you'll see is we get a lot of questions as far as, do you have any AUX-specific pieces targeted to consumers? This is something that's fairly new to Mutual of Omaha. We rolled this out in May or June of this year. So we've outlined, 10 or 12 key occupations, chiropractors being the top of that list. But now we have consumer-facing materials that you can customize with your agent's information, their name, phone number, and email. And these are consumer-approved pieces, which Mutual of Omaha pays for. We'll order them, send those out to you and or your producer, and you can do some specific targeting. This can also be used in conjunction with some of the association materials that we have today. So if you have any key associations that are truck drivers or farmers or chiropractors, these are some pieces that are available at no charge to your distribution, which have been well received so far. The next piece that you're going to see here is our supplemental health media kit. This is targeted to key marketers like yourself. The idea behind this is to keep our recruit, train, and retain programs and tools in front of you, enabling you guys to grab content and distribute out to your producers. So this is the one that we sent in June. This goes out on a monthly basis out to marketers. Any of the items, there's usually always a video component, an interactive component, in conjunction with a key topic that's kind of front and center that we're getting a lot of questions on. We try to make this content very timely in responding to that. The next slide here is going to show you some really great tools from a marketing perspective. The very first thing being a brand new recruiting video that we created this year. And if we click on that first link here, I hope you'll be able to see this video. And
yeah, showing up.
Okay. It'll just run for about a minute and a half.
I can't hear any sound. Is there supposed to be sound? But
yes, there is audio. There's just music attached to it.
oh, okay.
It just gives you a visual of the text. But you'll see here it's highlighting the key opportunity in that middle market space. And it's a minute and a half video. It reiterates kind of who our target market is and where we fit. This is a video that's producer use only that can be added to your producer websites or emailed out to new recruits that you're wanting to look at from a DI perspective. So this is brand new. It highlights the 4 products that we offer and the 3 unique underwriting programs that we offer from a multi-life perspective that I'm sure Brian will be getting into more in just a little bit. And the compensation piece, this is something that we've not really promoted so much in the past, but going forward, we basically wanted to prove that you could actually make money selling in the guaranteed renewable middle market space. So we've included a couple case studies and showing kind of an illustration of a 4-year commission comparison of what somebody can earn selling individual and multi-life with Mutual of Omaha. And that's what you're seeing on the screen right now. And there is a link to this presentation. If you go out to mutualofomaha.com/SmartSource and click on recruiting or resources, you'll find that direct link. The other link that you'll see here is our Express Standard Issue program that we offer for multi-life. And that is basically a short video that does have audio, which may or may not work at this juncture. But you'll see by going out to disabilityincomechoice.com, if you scroll down a little bit here, you'll see the Express Standard Issue video that kind of walks you through what that process is for using that unique underwriting program in the industry. I'm not sure if the audio will work on this, but this is about 3 minutes, but it kind of walks through the approval process, how to submit the case, to kind of give you an idea of how it works. And we'll just close out of that there. And the last key tool that I would definitely recommend saving onto your favorites would be our DI dedicated website, which is disabilityincomechoice.com. So the videos that we've talked about for Express Standard Issue and even additional multi-life resources are going to be accessible on disabilityincomechoice.com. So you'll see that we've highlighted a lot of our DI Choice at Work materials on this website. It walks you through the step-by-step piece in the marketplace. There's also some non-branded, I should say, consumer-facing video that you can use and to send out to consumers if you are doing any promotion direct to the consumer. Those videos are available and can be leveraged for additional content if you're looking for content for that. The other thing that's really nice about this website is if you go into the DI Connection portion of it, it highlights various different tips, tools, and training that Mutual of Omaha has to offer when it's more sales concept based. And you can go in there and listen to past teleconferences that we've had. There's sales solutions out there. You can actually add this onto your favorites. We don't push this website out every single month in an email, but a lot of the tools that we promote and highlight in the media kit are predominantly sourced on this website or on the SmartSource website. So when you get a chance to look in more detail on these tools, I encourage everyone on the call today to reach out to me, and we can definitely help find content or look at opportunities of how we can better support those efforts from a recruit, train, and retain perspective when it comes to DI. So with that, I will turn it over to Brian.
Thanks, Noelle, and thank you, Tracy, for the opportunity to have Noelle and I speak at this this teleconference. I appreciate everyone who took the time to come on and listen to us. Again, on my piece, this isn't going to take a long time, but we want to look at, when we talk about disability income insurance and income protection for your clients in the marketplace that Mutual of Omaha works best in, how do we get the best opportunities? How do we maximize the best opportunities for producers to get volume in this marketplace? And that obviously is pivoting the conversation from just simply a onesie-twosie individual person to the multi-life opportunity. And as Noelle mentioned on that site with the training presentations, we certainly have presentations that are focused on how do we pivot that conversation from the individual to the employer, because logic dictates that if you're talking with an individual, they have an issue with income protection or a gap in their protection, then that's probably going to be true with everyone at their employer or where they work. So we want to pivot that conversation to move into the employer arena and be able to talk about how do we get multiple individuals the proper coverage that they may have to fill in those gaps that are at the employer level. So obviously, first we want to talk about where we work and where we may not, and do a little bit of marketplace analysis of where Mutual of Omaha works best in this space. And then, when we move to the middle market, we pivot that conversation. What are the opportunities that we have at Mutual of Omaha that can be the end result of having that conversation with some of your clients that may exist out there? And then I'm just going to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the product and process updates for 2015, and Noelle mentioned one of them that I put in there for the marketing aspect. So you've probably heard me talk before, if you've ever listened to a presentation from me, about the middle market. We say, what is this middle market? And typically, probably one of the best ways that I can explain where Mutual of Omaha works best is when we talk about what is that professional support system. So we talk about the professionals, right? The attorneys, the doctors, highly compensated executives, these people that we typically think of in the traditional market space, that we would put a guardian policy in place, a principal policy in place, Standard, MetLife, those types of carriers, Mass Mutual. Where we work best is that next tier. So we say, who is supporting those professionals? Who are the paralegals? Who are the nurses? Where are we looking at as far as an office staff that's within those professionals that you may be carving out on a group plan basis? Those support staff on the multi-life level still need some sort of protection, because a lot of times the employer-paid LTD plans that they have still have that tax gap that occurs should they actually file a claim if it's paid by the employer and not grossed up. So we still fit that market space, and those are the occupations where we are going to do best in. It's not the actual attorneys or the doctors. It's that staff that supports those professions. The good news about that is many of you that are on this call focus on those professionals. That's why you partner up so well with the Plus Group team, is that you focus on those professionals at that level, and we want to assist you in saying, look, there's more opportunity in that one case, that one carve-out that you did. There's more opportunity there that we can keep going and have that conversation. Well, LIMRA actually did a study of what is this middle market. They did a household study between incomes between $35,000 and $99,000, ages 25 to 64. And that really comprises around 40 million households in the U.S. So if we look at that professional support staff, those that are typically in those types of occupations, I mean, that's quite a marketplace out there, 40 million households that are rarely touched or had the conversation about income protection, or really are even aware of where the gaps may be as far as if they were unable to work due to an injury or illness. Most of these households have a challenge with consistent savings. Most of them carry debt. Over 60% of the people in the study stated that they have more than $10,000 of non-mortgage debt. And when you're talking about these types of salary ranges, the more you get above that $10,000, the more that a financial catastrophe could really tear the household apart. And like I said, they're just simply not prepared for a disability. When you have challenges with regular savings, you carry debt. You're not prepared for when that type of emergency may happen. And I'll show you a slide here that will illustrate that. But what's extremely important is that there is a huge value in the trusted advisor. And if we think about it, we look at who is in this marketplace. Who is that trusted advisor? Typically, that's going to be someone's P&C person, someone that they get their auto insurance from, someone they get their home insurance from. They're not really working with financial advisors, as we typically would know. And that's why, if you look at LIMRA numbers, those of you that have access to LIMRA numbers of the disability marketplace, State Farm, for example, sold over 16,000. You guys still hear me?
Yeah, it was music.
There we go. All right. So if we think about the marketplace, we look at, who are they looking at as a trusted advisor? State Farm is selling over 16,000 policies.
Brian, it's really hard to hear the music.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, Noel?
Okay, we're okay for the moment. Nope, here it comes again. Maybe she put us on hold or something.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, we get a little music in the background.
Yeah, trying to control that. It's kind of like I'm getting played off. I'd like to thank my folks. I'd like to thank my director.
Exactly.
So if we look at, we'll go ahead and deal with the music. I've dealt with worse, I guess. So when we look at how do we visualize that space, how do we have help manage it? Look at this slide of people that.
I wonder if I can mute her.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that's coming from. If we look at,
okay, I think I did
the majority of percentages where we say, people are have no regular savings or struggling to make ends meet in this marketplace, is very high. Yeah, I think you got it, Tracy.
Okay, great. Sorry.
It's very high in this space. So that you see more and more need to have that income protection, especially when it comes to some sort of financial change. You look at the death, disability, and critical illness. In these scenarios, a large percentage of people in this marketplace would have significant to drastic financial changes in this space. Again, over 60% of people that were partook in this interview with LIMRA stated that if there was a challenge of $5,000 or more that resulted in $5,000 or more for the household, they would have to borrow money in order to pay that back. So you look at that and you say, well, what is your health plan at? Your health plan deductible is typically at $1,000, $2,000, $5,000. So you want to make sure that the income stream for these individuals are certainly protected. And that's why they want to look at you may not have heard over the music when I mentioned before, we look at State Farm last year sold 16,000 disability policies. That's more than some carriers combined last year. Some of the more traditional carriers that we talked about combined last year. And it's because in this marketplace, those are the trusted advisors that people are having conversations with. Also in this study, we find that, when we talk about things like critical illness and disability, typically the typical DI marketplace buyer in this space it was a face-to-face meeting with an advisor endorsed by the employer. So we all know this, right? I mean, it's when an employer endorses a particular producer to come in and speak about protection, you're already going to have a leg up as far as people who are interested in having that trust in someone that's truly coming in because the employer buys into it. And for this middle market, it's just a bigger opportunity to say, let's get more volume in our cases, because we look at some of these in the professional staff. It's not big dollar cases, but you see the potential for doing more volume, which can certainly not only help people and get them the protection they need, but also make it show, get the same type of bang in commission as far as you may see from a typical carve out that you would do for 5 or 6. We could get a participation of 20 to 30 and see that kind of number. So it's certainly worth our while, hours-wise, to put in that time. Where do we work best? I mean, usually it's in a small business of 25 lives or less. The reason why is that, especially with 10 lives or less, you're going to see that more group producers, group shops, employee benefit types of shops are going to look at this and say, 10 lives or less with a group plan really doesn't become advantageous for us to pursue because of the time and effort we put in as an individual as a producer versus what we get out of the case once it becomes enforced. So we see a lot of traction within the 10 lives, 12 lives, 15 lives, 25 lives or less. Up and above that, you see a lot more stronger group types of plans, voluntary group coverage to cover the gap. So we see a lot of 25 lives or less, and almost always exclusively in that support group, professional support type of channel. We're wrapping up a case now where we're looking at nurses, traveling nurses that are moving around, and we're doing a simplified knockout type of underwriting process that if we get enough participation, as I'll talk about in a minute, we will kick that up to a GSI type of underwriting process, and I'll show you how we do that in just a second. But things like nurses, we will do multi-life GSI voluntary for chiropractors, believe it or not. And a lot of times, you look at that and you say, well, chiropractors, they typically are very lone wolf type of groups. You don't see them in big different areas. But we did have an opportunity with one of the Plus Group members that we had a chiropractic group that was large enough, 100 or so, that we could do a GSI for chiropractors. We have different opportunities, and blue collar situations, truck drivers, those types of things. Even in the short term sense, this is a way to do a multi-life loss, and we'll get into more details on that. Voluntary. I mean, most of us wouldn't think of Mutual of Omaha for a doctor contract. However, we're one of the few that will do GSI for voluntary GSI for physicians. So, these are situations where we're saying yes, where you're typically going to see no out there in the marketplace. Key occupations, again, I'm just seeing more opportunities lately with nurses, chiropractors, support staff, office workers. We've got a situation. We just did a quote for a short-term disability GSI for taxi dispatchers. I mean, some of these occupations that you may not think, well, there's no way I could get a guaranteed issue type of plan for this. There are those opportunities, and we'll get into what those multi-life options look like. So we have a simplified knockout program, which would be more what you would see from an AFLAC, a colonial type of application, to a guaranteed issue process for short-term disability, long-term disability, any of those types of programs. Those programs obviously start on the fully underwritten side with, the typical 3 or more lives in one location with employer support. You know, we have a 20% discount that we would put in on that for the multi-life piece. Express standard issue. So this one is actually one of my favorites because in the marketplace that we're talking about and producers that we're talking about that are used to the voluntary marketplace, one of the big challenges with individual disability is getting the participation requirements. So when you look at traditional GSI, guaranteed standard issue, and again, I stress guaranteed standard issue, not guaranteed to issue, but guaranteed standard issue. You look at these marketplaces where you have a voluntary program of guaranteed standard issue. You know, we're looking at 30% participation, and for many folks, if you're not a seasoned veteran on the voluntary marketplace, getting 30% participation is very difficult, especially if the group is rather large. And so with ESI, this knockout application that we've built, Express Standard Issue, it's kind of an enhanced multi-life, so enhanced fully underwritten multi-life, where we just simply ask general questions, and then one final question has all of the catastrophic type of situations that one would look at. You know, have you had coronary issues? Have you had mental nervous issues? These types of things that would be the high dollar claims types of situations. And it's all, you know, the entire application is all yes, no. So you have a knockout situation. So it empowers the producer, or empowers you as the producer, to be able to go into a case and say, I know that when we take this application today, you will have coverage or you will not. And so we have that empowerment of the producer going in and doing the meetings with the employees, as well as a much lower participation level. So 5 lives or 10% participation, whichever is greater regarding the group, in order to get a simplified knockout type of program. And it runs like the same gamut as GSI, where you look at, you know, we'd want an initial census to be able to quote, and then final census in order to get the finalized GSI or ESI program started. And we review that at annual enrollment every year. So ESI is a great way to start the process if you're doing it voluntarily. So we start an ESI program, and one of the big advantages is we say, okay, we're going to start with requiring 10% participation or 5 lives. But what happens, Brian, if we get 30% participation while we're doing this ESI case? We're missing out on a GSI opportunity, right? Well, not true. So if we do ESI and we get that 30%, now we're going to see a fallback into our GSI program. So GSI, you know, obviously on employer paid, I like to go GSI as much as possible. But on the guaranteed standard issue, you just have one underwriting question, which is, have you been actively at work at your position in the last 6 months? That's your health underwriting question. We give up to a 25% unisex discount. And the minimum there is 10 lives or 30% participation. And so once again, we look at ESI. Let's start out a voluntary program with the application. It's the same application. ESI just happens to have the extra questions added. And so we take the application. We have them fill out the entire app. If we get more than 10%, we get more like 30% participation. Underwriting takes a look at that application. We deem it a GSI. And so we only look at that first question as far as the health underwriting piece. So that again, provides an opportunity in the voluntary group space, voluntary multi-life space, for producers to feel, okay, I have an opportunity to actually get this thing written and keep it at this underwriting level for many years. Because many of us know on GSI, in that first year, if I don't get the 30% participation, a lot of carriers will still honor the program. It's just that from now on every initial enrollment afterwards, or every enrollment afterwards, it's going to be fully underwritten, or I lose some of my GSI privileges because I didn't get the participation. Here we have a way to start out realistic, 5 lives or 10% participation, and really give all the tools to shoot for that falling back to a GSI. Or we could start with the GSI. If you think you're going to get 30% participation, we'll just go GSI. And especially if we can get the employer to pay for certain pieces, then we want to go the GSI route because that'll help the participation. So, again, these are programs that are going to help when we talk about pivoting that conversation to multi-life. I just want to spend 5 minutes real quick talking about the programs that would probably interest you on the phone that we've launched that you may or may not have heard about. One is that we are starting we have started a Mutual of Omaha student starting practice program. So this is not GSI, this is not ESI, but it is a way to go to students that may not be in some of the traditional spaces that you've seen from other carriers and be able to offer policies to students before they graduate from a program, get them small policies. We're seeing this more heavy in the nursing arena, going to nursing schools. We have a few of them started up. Obviously, chiropractors, where we do extremely well. We have some folks going into chiropractic schools and starting this program, doing a starting practice program with students, offering them some sort of income protection while they're getting ready to head out into the marketplace and find that job. Also in non-traditional type of positions. We have had a couple opportunities with osteopaths, for example. Not a popular one with other programs, but we're ones that are looking at it and saying yes to a couple of these programs where we do a student starting practice while they're in school. So there are opportunities out there for us to be able to do that. I'll give you a little detail about that in just a second. On WinFlex, we have added the alternate premium page where we look at, and those of you that have heard me do my good, better, best presentations, that now is part of our quoting system. So when you're running a quote on WinFlex, it will automatically generate a good, better, best scenario. So you'll get your quote, you'll get a good, better, best quote for your producer. So basically you have 4 quotes in one piece that comes out from the system, from WinFlex. So I'm a big fan of that, obviously, being able to give the producer options and empower them to speak to their client about income protection at any level, much like when we say, you believe in income protection, but let's see what level is going to work best for you as far as right now, the right policy for right now in your stage of life. And then maybe later on we need to step up to that principal plan, MetLife plan, Guardian plan, etc. Noel talked about the recruitment tools going on for the middle market, occupational specific, things like that. So, just real quick, I talked about a few of these things for the student program. We're looking at certain occupational programs 6 months from graduation. If you go on to Sales Professional Access, you can download, if you don't have it already, you can get access to the underwriting guide, or if you need to just email me to get the new underwriting guide. If your underwriting guide does not have the program listed in it and what occupations qualify for this student program and how much they're eligible for, then feel free to drop me a line, Brian, B-R-Y-A-N .orr at mutualofomaha.com. Again, that's Brian, B-R-Y-A-N .orr at mutualofomaha.com. I can get you the latest copy of that electronically, and I'm sure you can get it if you're a producer. You can get that from your Plus Group partner that you're working with as well. But not looking at any financial underwriting on these plans. There's no limitation as far as benefit period, riders, etc., and we have the future insurance option included so that policy can grow once they leave school on there. So I was hoping for 140. Looks like I'm beating time, which is a rarity for me, those of you that know me. So I would like to just spend some time answering any questions that you may have. So feel free to let me know what detail you'd like to know about anything we talked about so far.
Great. And if you have a question, just go to the question pane on the control panel and type it in, and we can address any questions. Again, you just need to type them in, and we will address them. Well, Brian, I think you did a great job.
Yeah, nobody has any questions?
Doesn't look like it. Give it another moment or two. And again, if you have a question afterwards, you can either contact your Plus Group office or send it to me or send it to Brian or Noelle. If you think of things after, we'll be happy to address them. Again, I don't see any questions. So you did a great job.
Rio and Nicole's on there. They got to ask something.
And again, you'll actually get a link to this, which will include the presentation as well as all the audio that was included. So that will be sent to you. People always ask me. You should have that within 24 hours. So you will have that. The other links will be in the presentation that Noelle went over, right? And Brian, you also, there's other things that they may want, but we'll make sure they get what they need. Okay, I guess that's all then. Brian and Noelle, thank you so much, and thank you for everyone for attending today. For more information about future webinars or today's webinar, please contact your local Plus Group office or go to our website at www.plusgroupunus.com. Brian and Noelle, yep, just thanks. People are saying thank you, great job, and appreciate everybody attending today. And thank you, Brian and Noelle and Mutual of Omaha. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.